much for coming today. I'd like to start by thanking 401 Richmond, this amazing building, an amazing resource, and a beautiful community. And it's just a pleasure to function out of here, out of this building. If you haven't already, check out some of our exhibitions in the building. At Trinity Square Video, we have a beautiful exhibition in V-Tape and Gallery 44, as well as A-Space. So you don't have to go outside in the cold to see more amazing art. I'd like to thank the Urban Space Gallery for providing us with this space. And I'd like to thank Swipe Bookstore for supporting and selling helping to contribute to our choice of books and our building a library of thought around the Images Festival. So make sure to check out our bookstore, have coffee, have pie. If you missed screenings, you can always catch up at the Mediatheque here. And yeah, so thanks for coming. I'm really excited to be sitting here today with two amazing artists contributing to the Images Festival, Maamoun from Cairo and Narimane from Paris and Algiers. And last night we watched Narimane's film Lubia Hamra, Bloody Beans, the rough English translation, and Maha's installation, her video, Night Visitor, is at V-Tape, and so you can watch it in gallery hours, and I suggest you check it out. It's amazing. So maybe just to start, I'll have you each, just describe your work and put it, just a little introduction and put it in context for anyone who hasn't seen the work, and then we'll continue the conversation from there.
No, you're on the middle.
No, yours kind of sets the table for the...
I don't know, I can begin, but I'm not so sure that I can say artist. I'm more a filmmaker. Sure, the movie, I do it like a real movie, like a cinema movie, but some part, because I don't know if it's because it's a poor movie, but also it's the way I want to work. So don't use a lot of things to do it, and like the light, or we talk about that. And it's became something, some part of it, it's more artistic, more the people can look at it like a piece of art also, some part. But for me, it's a plastic moment, but it's only because I don't want it plastic, but it's only because we just choose little things and we just create a new symbolic of narrative way. Then it's, I don't know, he takes the place of artistic piece, but it's not my démarche. I don't work for this. I just want to try to explain with another way. Only you don't go with the psychological way, more physical way. How you can explain something only with the body or with the feelings of some things, not with, yes, he said that, then I understand that, and that's why you have to use a lot of things, simple things, but other way of objective way. Okay.
So, and do you want to talk a little bit about the subject of the film?
Yeah.
Just to, if anyone missed it last night.
Yeah. It was about the period of liberation war in Algeria, because if you don't know, the French comes there to colonize the country. Some people don't know where is Algeria in America also, then it was in the North Africa. And I just, because it was the anniversary of this war, this liberation war, and I don't want to talk about the history. I just, or like I'm not a historian woman, I'm not a book, I'm not all that. Then I just want to say more to give homage to the liberty. This is the way of the movie, not not to talk about war, but how we can go out from the authority, the colonization, also the authority of the power. It can be other country, or it can be someone else, or only to be free and to try to cut the power that we feel in our diary. I think that is the subject of the movie. Then, voilà.
Maha, do you want to put a little, you're working a little bit of context?
Yeah, so the video is made out of clips from YouTube uploads that I found. That all the material comes from footage that people shot, documenting their own break into the state security buildings in Cairo in March 2011, so 2 months after the revolution. I was, like everyone else, we were just looking at all of this material. And what drew me, I was drawn to this material in particular, the YouTube, the personal kind of mobile phone clips that were taken from the state security buildings. It was interesting for me. It's like, if you say, like, it's like your film is poor, and these are very also poor kind of in terms of quality, poor quality mobile phone, shaky hand camera kind of thing. I was interested in what people were saying, the kind of the commentary, the live commentary going on. And I was interested, so I was interested less in the event than in kind of the impulses that people had while they're in that space. So the political and the non-political, so the feelings of just jealousy or, awe, or just celebrating a break-in into a space, like any space. Like, I can see it like, there is of course the political context, but it could be a documentation of a break into somebody's house. You'd find the same kind of impulses.
So it's kind of a more intimate perspective on the revolution in 2011, or?
Yeah, I was kind of interested to look at another layer that is not just the obvious oppressor, oppressed, shredded documents, torture tools, whatever. I was interested to see a kind of, to look at a deeper kind of psychological impulse that is there, or how people look at just objects of wealth, or and it would be the same. It would be similar to. I mean, the event is kind of defining, but there are things that go beyond the event, or that there are impulses that precede this event. And so I guess what I'm trying to do in the film is to look at these other things, apart from the straightforward political things, to look at the other preceding sentiments that exist under them.
Mm-hmm. And so the reaction of the break-in and the filming is sort of a response to the events that just happened, or it's a reflection of this desire for access that these people might not have had otherwise, or is it an investigation? Like, where did you find the materials? Did you find them on YouTube, or how did you discover the first fragment? Mm-hmm. Like, what was the inspiration?
Yeah, like some of them were shared on Facebook, for example. Mm-hmm. A lot of times for their comic kind of content, not for so just like what people were saying, like how sarcastic or just comic they were. So again, apart from the political thing, the other part that is just the humor and the sarcasm that came into that situation. So this is how I saw the first clips, and is actually what drew me to the clips. And I was interested in the things that people were focusing on, other than the straightforward political things. So, but things that are also revealing, like how they would they would find a belly dancing suit and hold it like incriminating evidence of that kind of shows like tells you more about things beyond this moment, or chandeliers, or incriminating European landscape paintings, stuff like that. That was kind of just tells you more about the context of this event, apart from the political moment.
And the building, can you talk about the building that they're visiting?
Yeah, it's a state security building. there's plenty of them, and the state security was like one of the main targets of the revolution, or like of the strike against the state. The state security was like one of the main kind of devils because they were just had a very bad history and of just of being just like the police in general were like a main target or cause of the revolution. So these were very important buildings, and people broke into them because they felt that the officers are destroying evidence, and they wanted to go in to just save documents so that they can use them later. But they saved the documents and they gave them to the army, so they didn't save much. But yeah, I mean, I see in my film a lot of things, similarities with Narimane's, like this. So my film is called Night Visitor, and there's this. You had this like long bit of all these kids breaking into this building, and there's a lot of also youth who are filming in my video. So a lot of younger men and women filming, and there's. I think you chose to kind of focus maybe on that, or you use children in your film, and you also used humor very much in how you dealt with the subject. And I felt what drew me to some of these clips was the humor, but then I just edited out of the in the end.
Why?
Why? But that's an interesting thing, because I thought maybe I was thinking why. So why are you using it? And I'm kind of turning it off. And I was thinking maybe the temporal distance that you have, from the event, maybe. For me, I was using many clips. Some of them were humorous, some were not. And in the end, I did not want to have in the final thing. I wanted to hide the identity of the people, so you do not see the people. I do not want to expose the identity of the people who are breaking in, because there was this kind of fight over ownership of this event. So I didn't want the kids to be dismissed for being, or like. Dismissed as vandals, for example, or as just cheeky young, I don't know what, who are breaking into a place and having a great time. So, or just Islamists who want to own the whole event. Like, I didn't want to get into that. I just wanted to focus more on what other things are they looking at in that space. They would look at the same things at that time, or if it was in another time.
And so, I mean, it's interesting that you're both dealing with historical moments, but yours is more recent history, and Narimane is the history that you're dealing with is 50 years ago, but it's still happening.
What I say, I think so. It's that I use the past, but to tell today, and what I just want to show, it's the past never stops. We talk about this with Mathieu, because this reality. She always here, then that's why the people don't really understand. They say to me, but at what time? We don't care about time. And when you look at this movie, it's now. It's not before. But you always can use all the history to talk about now. It's I think that there is no end of this kind of story. Then and it's interesting to play with that, and how you can tell that without time. It's an exercise. It can be good or not, and it's interesting to try to forget the time.
So your work is sort of a reminder that the history continues, or that it's always with us.
It was, I think, I don't know, it's continue but never stop. I think so. And you try to look at the way, but you can have some espoir, a spirit. But I think no, they can never stop if you have to make something to stop it. And if no one makes something, it's continue. Then you can close your eyes and think that it's stopped, but no, it's not true.
And I think last night there were some questions about whether the children that were involved with the project, what their relationship to the history, the colonial history was, and their consciousness of that history. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, it was a very far story for them, because there is new story, there is terrorism story, war, a civil war. They take all the place after. They just know that they win the war to be free. They know that. But how and all the complexity of the war, they cannot know it. Also us, we don't know it. We just know some part. And then I always want to play with that, because I'm not sure that we really have all the information. Then when you chose children, it's like us, I think so. It's like we cannot understand what we have to understand. And also if you understand what is the result of understanding. And the children represent really the atmosphere of understanding, and I use it. That's why I use the children. And then I don't want, when I play with them, I don't want to give them the reality of the history. I just want to give them some part. And then, like I tell you, there is the terrorist story. Now it's more important than the other one, more closer. And someone yesterday on the public asked me about the Arab Revolution, if it takes some influence. I didn't know. I think that they don't. It was. It was not precise things on them, and I also don't want to give them the. I'm not sure that when we finish the movie, they go to see a book and what is the story of my country. They learn it in school, but it's a boring story. It's and they don't like it also. Then we just changed some things. It's great.
They talk about the OAS in one of the sequences.
Yeah.
So how did they know about it? This is one of the things that l'OAS.
Ouais.
Ils en parlent à un moment donné.
Yeah, l'OAS, it's a very hard part of the French army because one time when the movie began, they signed the treaty of peace, but OAS don't want to respect it. They say it's my country and I don't want to go. Then they fight. At the end of the movie, the French soldier die because his country killed him. Then it was interesting because l'OAS really don't want to go, and then the French army come to kill them, and then they kill all Algerian and French people. Then it was a terrible moment. And then I think that the word OAS, when you know the story, OAS, it was incredible army, very bad army. They killed one man. My mother had a friend. He has a little black peel skin, and they kill him on the street only because of that. They shoot them on the head, and he worked with her, and then it's crazy. It's nobody. It's they have no eyes more, no nothing. And then what I like to play on the movie, it's only the word OAS make you scared. I don't need to say more. And some people say to me, I need to know more. Take a book then. but no, I cannot say all, because if I go to the OI story, I'm going to show the horror. I don't want to show the horror. We don't need that more. But just to say OIs, it's like you say, not a ghost, because a ghost it's a great person. But
it's a reference they have as a scary thing.
No, they don't know what is OS. They just I have to tell them. It's a part of army, very bad.
They just know it's scary.
Voila, they just know
That's
it's scary,
and
yeah, and I like it because you don't need to know more, and you really just the word OAS, you make a like this, because it was interesting.
So it's like Nazi becomes sort of the universal bad guy in European consciousness and North American consciousness. If you said Nazi, would that be the same as saying OS? Because kids that don't understand the word Nazi might, or don't know that history, might still know from fiction or that that's the bad guy, the enemy.
Yeah, the bad guy. Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to ask how you developed the script, or it's like an improvisation with the kids.
I write all the script. I just changed the cemetery scene because I forgot this cemetery. I tried to find a wall for my scene of shadows, and when I want to shoot outside, I think that it was a little hard for the children to play outside like this. And then I go to the cemetery to find a wall, and I see, my God, it's so beautiful. And I played there when I was young, and I remember this, and I just say, because before they have to take the street to go to the caserne, and then I change the way, and it's better like that. This is what I write on the shooting. I don't write. I just say we change the place. But after what I do, I don't choose the children. I don't make a casting. I just say who want to come. Then who want to come with his desire, what he is, and all that. And I think that what it's great to do is to just feel what he want to be. And we like the first, we talked about this yesterday, like the first scene with the fart, because they fart in the Woody Beans. The first scene when they fart, you take all the children, there is 18, well, and they play all one by one the same scene, and we just look each other of how he play, and they decide very democratically who is the winner. No, who is the more true, who really have the desire to do this, and it's only a question of desire. Then I don't give them the scenario, because if you do that also with the adults, I try also, it's when you have something to read, you want to read it like at the school, and you don't invent. Then I put words, when I write, I put words, but for the objective of the scene. Only I know that at this time we have to have this information, like the OAS, or I don't know, I always put small information for the public to understand the line. But it's my words, and then when I play with them, I just say, okay, he fart now. What you want to say when he fart? And someone once say, you make a machin, and when you repeat on the, comment tu dis répéter? Rehearse. And the rehearse, there is a lot of ideas, and they forgot their ideas. They can say something, and me, I don't forget. I just put in my head and say, okay, this is a good thing to say. And when we play the scene, I just say, you remember, you say that at one moment, but you always play again a new game. It's never, you can never be sure that what you remember, what you give them to remember that of what they say say it again. But it's always a new thing, and it was this is the improvisation. But it's not true, because it's you have to have it on your hand. You cannot only be an improvisation, only free, because sometimes. But sometimes perhaps I'm afraid about something and I was wrong, because when you rehearse, when you rehearse a lot, you have to do it. When you shoot, you know that the time when you shoot, we are all ready to do it, and nobody forgot the objective of the scene. This is the way. Never forget. Then you can put all the words that you want, but it's only to serve the objective. Then it's a free, but we have a point to. If not, déjà now a lot of people don't understand the movie. If we don't make that, I think that no one understands it.
And then thinking about rehearsal and repetition, it just makes me think about your research in finding the materials for Night Visitor. And I mean, how many of these videos did you look at? Like, were there, like, what was the proportion of the ones that you kept in the piece to the ones you looked at? And would you make a feature film, or could it be a website on its own of just all these documents? Or
it's a website on its own, like YouTube. It's like it has everybody uploaded their videos on YouTube, so they have the whole archive is there. I watched a lot. I can't remember. There's like hours of it on the internet, and in the end, I would choose very little things and maybe like a few seconds from a clip and they're often the bits that are like the most insignificant, I guess, that you wouldn't remember these bits because it was not about that part really. Like it would be about, for example, I don't know, looking into documents, or looking into looking into like the minister's office, or but then I would choose a bit about a photograph that's on the floor, for example. So I'm just using little bits that I thought were interesting, and they're not really about maybe the objective really of entering that space.
So what was it that attracted you to these particular fragments? Was it that they were their oblique connection, or was it the objects in them, or?
I guess I was interested with the overwhelming kind of flood of images from the revolution that are all about the moment, and like crowds and the tahrir, all of this stuff. And then I was interested in like the less in kind of less seen things, or like the things that are in the end the kind of the shared value system that lies beneath that kind of that would eventually lead to that kind of rupture, like the kind. So just looking at moments of like I was saying, like greed or jealousy or things like that are in the end the layer that is underneath that. And I was interested in there was a lot of things in those videos that reminded me of this other film. So the film, my film is called Night Visitor, The Night of Counting the Years, and that second title comes from a film from the 60s by Shadi Abdessalem called The Mummy, The Night of Counting the Years. It's a famous film. It's a classical Egyptian film, and that was it was happening kind of turn of the century at this moment where the modern state was being there were laws were being set to organize antiquities, like who owns like ownership of objects of so it starts with this family that lives in Upper Egypt that found a catacomb, and they're selling it bit by bit across generations, and because there was no kind of system, modern state antiquities, laws for antiquities and things that kind of take ownership of all of these things in the end. So through the film there you kind of go through the process of the state steps in, it claims these objects, and it starts to decipher them and to write a new history of this kind of nation. And so in the YouTube clips there was a lot of that, a lot of kind of this kind of, it looked like an archaeological site, and all of this digging and then collecting of objects. They can be like I said, like a chandelier, and trying to decode them, and it was also like there are other similarities, like they're both transitional moments. They're both kind of a people is trying to rewrite something, to decode certain objects, and so these were kind of interesting links that actually came to me after I started working, while I was editing. But I was, like I said, I was just interested in the kind of emotional space that was there when people were entering. So the emotional space of the people breaking into that building, but also what you can learn from the objects there that are very charged objects, like just like a statue of a stallion, or like I said, a belly dancing suit. But all of these are very important objects, or that tell you something that is not what you hear, or that.
No, it's interesting because both your works are a moment, kind of a moment of exuberance. So, the children in your film are exuberant and enthusiastic about their goal of breaking into the barracks and having access to chocolate and chicken and eggs. And then the protagonists, the real people in your film, are just as enthusiastic in their quest to see, to break in and experience something that they've been shut out of, or they've been shut out of.
I tell you, I have to see her movie before.
Yeah.
Because I don't see it, and it's not so good.
So maybe at this point I'll open up open this up to the conversation, up to the audience, and see if anyone has any questions or comments or thoughts. Yes.
This is a question about bloody beans, and I was just wondering, in the process of working with the kids, did you ever have them kind of interrogate you in the process of making this work about like why you wanted to do this?
At the beginning, some of them they can ask, but we really do it like a game, serious game, because we have a meeting all day. We have to meet and work, not too much, 2 or 4 hours, 2 for the rehearsal, and rehearsal. I cannot. I say repetition, okay? You understand?
Yeah.
And we shoot for 4 hours only per day when we make the movie. But I think that we have to forget all this. The best is to forget. You don't have to always remember why you do this. It's you see the movie.
Yeah.
The particularity is you don't know what is true, what is not. It's never, because I think that when you work like this, their reality go to my fiction, and my fiction go to their reality, and so it's only something. It's our story. When you work like this, it can be your real story. We really trust that we live that, and it's more interesting to trust than to, I think so, than to ask why. You don't care about why, only because it's more pleasure than the question. But no, you just say why we don't make a real war. Why we don't? Well, and the cousin, it's a bad guy. We have to kill them. No, we don't kill them. This is more the problem. It's to be a real. They play a lot with the shadow. We really love and play a lot, but I think that they more be influenced by American movie, where all it's true, you know. And one of them, the long one, you know, he said to me, "It's a stupid movie," because he don't understand the symbolic way. He don't feel that there is a way there. The other one plays more, but all of us have another mind about the movie.
Any other?
Do you know if anyone's footage that you used, if they've seen your artwork and what they think of that?
I don't know. I contacted them because they were the uploaders, so it was easy to write to them to ask them for permission. So I asked them for permission, and then I put it up on the internet. So I'm not sure.
You don't have a return? They never answer, or?
No, they answered like saying, yeah, you can use it.
Yeah, but they never talk about the results.
No.
Yeah. It's a new work,
It's an old work. I could have like written back to everyone saying, yeah, I have the film, it's right, but I didn't. I just put it back on the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure they'd be very happy. I don't know, because I'm turning off the sound on most of the footage, and maybe they would. And I'm also showing the unmonumental kind of moment. So it's when for them it's a really important moment, this break-in and like what they're documenting, all of that. And I'm kind of looking at the belly dancing suit and so it's. I'm not sure how it would be received. Maybe that's why I wasn't very courageous in like writing back to everyone. But yeah, it's there. It's on the internet.
Yeah, they can.
Charlene?
So for both your works, I noticed how striking the sound was in Bloody Beans, and then how in your work, Maha, how it was just completely stripped. And I was just wondering what the choice was to do that for you, to completely take away the sound and just focus on the visual.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I was saying, like I didn't want the final film in the end to end up being about the identity of the people breaking in, or to kind of dismiss these people or these others taking ownership of the whole break-in. So that's why in the end I chose to, even though what they were saying was what attracted me in the first place, but then I thought it's better to just silence it, and to in the end you understand, you get more when you look at the images than when you the kind of immediate level of what they're saying is kind of can really block you, and you get fixated on the jokes, or you get fixated on like a certain kind of accent or things like that. And it's not I'm not doing like a document in the end of this, so I'm just choosing things for my own. So I didn't want the stresses I'm placing on certain choices of videos, and I didn't want this kind of selection to go beyond my very limited interest. I didn't want it to bring in the identity of people, all of this kind of other discussion.
Scott?
Narimane, I know that the film has largely been shown in a documentary festival context, and there's been some controversy. And so I wonder if you have any, you said that you're a filmmaker, not an artist, which I think that's interesting in and of itself. But do you have any sort of attachment or repulsion around the documentary form or the documentary world? And are you trying, like, is that part of this film for you at all?
Really, I never think to make a documentary when I make the movie. I just write for me, it's a fiction. But what I discover when I work and how I like to work, I just discover it with this movie. But I make a movie of my husband because he's a painter, and I show what I like. But I discovered that I don't want to touch the reality. I really don't want. That's why I don't make casting, or I don't say I love you because I like this. I can say okay, I love you because I like this, but you come to my movie, but I don't want to change you. I don't want to change the reality. I cannot. I know that I cannot touch it. And I think that is the part of documentary, because they all exactly live like they live. They all be like they be, but only with a new context, like with another dress or something. They just change the dress, or they just put short, or I just understand that I cannot. I now for my new movie, I see that I continue, and I think that I was more strong with this idea, because for this movie I just discovered that, and I was very happy to make it. And then for the other one, I know that it's the way for me. But I was with a production director to make the location and casting in the desert in Algeria. No, it's a joke. And then I write a story of a boy. He had 6 years and he never grew up in the movie. There is 10 years, but he have a problem. He never grew up, and he don't have. He cannot talk, but he heard a lot, and he's very like an animal. I want to play with that, and he heard very far, well, I'm walking, and then I see a boy. And I talk with him, And the guy said to me, but I don't imagine him like this. It's not what you write. I say, I don't care about what I write. It's not me that I define. I just write something because I need this kind of subject. But not, I cannot choose the profile. And for me, if he wants to be these children, he can be. Then I don't change. I don't change the real. It's my imaginary. Go to the real. I'm not a Kubrick who write. This is here, and you have to move in this street. And no, never. I just say this street perhaps is better, but perhaps this is the. And another thing is that Nasser Mechkan, who make the image, he's not an opera. It's not. He don't make movie. He comes from the. He make photography of war, and it was strong subject. And then he don't like the responsibility at the first time that I give him. I say, take the camera, and you with the repetition, we find a good distance and all that. But after that, I'm not going to look at what you do. We find something, and then he have to take his way with the children and with the scene. And because he don't want this responsibility, he said to me, I make a documentary of your movie. I don't shoot a movie. And it's crazy because I think that it was a part also of this bizarre reality. It can be something, what I tell you before, and this one, I think the two make something very, perhaps particular or
Yes.
something.
So I'm trying to picture what's happening when you're shooting, and you are describing that the person who has the camera, has this freedom that you just talked about, and you trust him that he's going to gather the data you will then need. Then on the other hand, the children are very much on their own. On their own may not be the right way to say, but are you like theater director that would still be in communication with the kids, like giving them some idea or some words or some thoughts, and then letting things happen? Is that your role in that moment?
Yeah, and I'm like Nasser is dancing around them. He tried to find a place to be with them, and me too. I always with them. I'm a part of them, and
You interact.
I'm interact, and we find a solution because they talk each other about another subject. The movie is shooting, and they talk about what are you doing here, and they have their own life, and then they can talk to me, Narimane, what we do, and we are shooting. I say, don't call me Narimane, just find another name because I cannot cut this. And then then we find another name because I like this that they continue to have their own life, and but it's more. When you make the repetition like this, we just know what we have to do. Really, it's crazy how they understand, and then at this time you know that they know, and then if someone is lost or something, you say, remember you said that, don't forget to say that. Or, I go here, I just push one, and it's more like this. It's more like it's really interesting. It was more. Oui, un rappel, tu vois, c'est plus un.
C'est de la direction d'acteur. I don't know if c'est that in English.
Yeah, c'est la.
Actor, director.
Actor director.
Yeah.
Yeah, actor, director.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, I'm not sure. There is a lot of things. It's. I think that you are the memory of the subject, the real memory, because all have a piece of what they have to do. But I think that when you are a filmmaker, you have all the rhythm. You have all the information, the rhythm, the subject, the objective, who do it, and what we have to have in the finally. It's more. You have to never forget that it's a big interactive moment, and you have to take all the memory of all. And better to have a good memory than when you work like this, but it's okay, I have a good one, but I really use it for that. It's never forget, and sometimes I forgot things because I don't work with the script, you know, there is a girl who come and say, he put this, and then in the other scene, I don't care. But you really have to never forget, and sometimes I forgot things, 2 things, and I think it's okay. I think that when you forgot, you don't need it. But you have to take a risk with that, huh? But perhaps you'd say you don't need it because you don't have it. No, it's not true. No, really, I know that you don't need it because when you are free like that, I think that your subject grow up more than what you imagine. You just see that one time I want to make a scene, I cut it because I think that it's enough. The sense of what we have to do is here. Then when you write it, you always put little more to be sure that we understand. But when you work with this kind of memory, you see that the subject is here, then you can go to another place and cut more than you put more.
Any other questions? Alexis?
Just for both of you, I noticed in both your works there's, obviously handheld camera in both pieces, and the image is very chaotic and constantly moving, but then there's also this kind of peace or calm or playfulness in Narimane's work. And I just maybe wanted you to talk, both of you to talk about this juxtaposition between this chaos and also the peace and the playfulness.
So I turned down off the sound like I was explaining now, but also, I mean, in other works, like I was invited to create a film program also in the same kind of period when I was doing this film, and I found that I was also decided to create a film program that was completely nonverbal, because I just, with all of what we were hearing, it was just like ear inflammation. So there was just so much being said all the time, to the point that everything canceled everything else, and I felt that okay, so this level of talk is just we have an overdose of that, and so there was, so that was around the same time. So I was just not wanting to focus on argumentation, different points of view, all of this I just couldn't handle. And I think this is why, also one of the reasons why, to just turn off the talk and to kind of look at the other things that are happening, and just how people are moving in a space, what they're looking at, and things like
that. I think that this kind of image it's really about a part of what the movie have to say. It was only energy, and you cannot stay like this with the energy. It's not possible. The energy is something you feel it, and sure, it make you move. And then I take the risk also to make this image. And some people are really sick in Marseille. One girl, she said to me, "Really, I love your movie, but I go out. I'm like on a boat, and I have a stomach headache or something like this." And I say, "I'm sorry." But it's for me, it's a part of like I tell you, it's not a psychological movie. That it was more a physical movie. Then you have to take this way. But also, I think it's a part of the beauty, because it's incredible to can be like you say to me. It's like a real choreography of bodies, and it's. For me, it's the same thing, because you question about the beauty, and for me, it's the same. It's the other movie I'm going to do. It's more like this, but because the subjects go with it. It's only, I think that you choose only because of the subject, how you can receive it. It's not a choice of. I think that perhaps I never make another movie like that, because it's hard to see. It's only a way of experience, and this is the good subject for that. But if you do it for another one, it's not a writing. It's only to be the subject. And it's great because you can change always the form. It depends of what you want to say. It's better.
Vicky?
So, I mean, these are both amazing projects. So I wanted to ask you both about your engagement with history and politics of the region. And you both use strategies that leave openings for new or undescribed ways of reading histories, documents, the present, colonialism. And I just wonder if you guys could talk a bit about that way of engaging with politics.
Well, I think that you cannot live without engagement. I just live all day. I just wake up all day. I just look at the life, and I never be outside. I think so, and I am. But I don't want to be a professional. I don't want to be like I tell you a specialist, or I just. I think that the image of my movie is what I am because it's only a reaction at something and say how we can be free about something else. But I'm engaged because I vote. I'm engaged because I choose my life. But I'm also know that we are nothing, really nothing. I'm not going to perhaps one time in Paris there is a big problem with a ministry when the Taubira, when they say that she's a monkey. And then I was a little afraid and said, oh my God, because I know that we are not at the time, my husband have 82 years and he's at his time when he have our age, what's happening in Greece or what's happening in all the part we all go outside to say no. And now nobody go outside to say no. This is something poor. I think in Europe more, because in Europe I think we have a good chairs. And I want at this time to say, okay, what we do, I call my friends, we do nothing. Let someone do something, then we go. But more than this, I think that the best way is to work. I think that I don't make, I make, it's not a political film like we can see, it's a political film, but I engaged also in production for only a political movie, but more serious than mine. But I think that you have to tell what I say about this movie. It's how you can tell you have to tell, how you can know you have to tell. It's only you just have to say that you know something. Also, it's a little bit you have to say it or to interrogate. I think that never close your mouth or just. But this is, I think, only on the work you can do this. Not, I'm not sure that if I go down, there is not the same energy to. I don't think that we can change something. We can just open some minds. I'm happy when I go with my movie in New York and they don't know where is Algeria. I'm happy that they know now where is Algeria. It's the first step. Okay, yeah, they know now. It's good things. It's something like that. I think so.
Yeah, just a very short answer. Like I do not really think deal really with or like I do not feel like I have a political engagement in my work, and I just my interest in politics is as average as anyone. It's not like a special. I know that I have an interest in history because I've studied, and I guess that kind of informs what an interest in just different sources of information, what to foreground, what to background. Just when a certain strand is stressed over another strand. So I know that this is kind of something that informs some of the work. And yeah, when I look back, I see, okay, so these three works had an interest in kind of representation of history, or like kind of how history is narrated or things like that. But yeah, I don't see.
And what I think also it's you feel it. I think in my movie it's to be politically it's to be inside always, for me, always inside. And the movie you are always inside, never outside. You don't put yourself outside to look. You have to live on it. And then if you live like that, you cannot be outside the idea of political diary. Yeah. I think inside it's a good word. Where you live, outside, inside. This is an engagement also, I think so. To be, and when you are inside, you are tired and all that, but you have to live.
Yeah, I mean, I think by leaving things open, you, and by being inside, you leave the opportunity for other kinds of knowing about the events, which are not so obvious necessarily. Same with your project. So, and sometimes these things we can't know now, we may know in the future. You're kind of leaving codes or clues, kind of a visual evidence too. So I think that it's, although it's not like directly political necessarily, it has kind of important place in it.
I was interested because at the beginning of the talk you said you're not an artist, you're a filmmaker, and you're just making an ordinary film. And I'm just thinking, which I don't think it's ordinary at all, and I do think it's art. And I'm just, in Maha, you've made an artwork which is also like a documentary. So I mean, these definitions, that's what, in a way the Images Festival is about, sort of expanding and complicating all these labels. So I was wondering, do you consider yourself a documentarian?
I don't know. But so your film is shown in documentary film festivals? Do you think?
Can you answer and don't give me the question? No way. It's your politic responsibility. Answer.
Like if I consider myself a documentary filmmaker?
It's a good question.
Why not?
Yeah, great.
No, I don't know. I just sometimes work with found footage. I don't know what the objective of a documentary filmmaker would be when they are, but sometimes I work with found footage. I don't know what if it's serving any ends beyond art. I cannot have long answers.
Are there any other questions, or should we just have some more coffee and pie?
You have one?
Yes. Well, one thing about night intruders, the other day they were saying on the original posted YouTube videos that there are quite a few hits or views, and there's a kind of a lively comment section. Maybe comment about that, what life the original posted videos had,
Like the original YouTube clips that I used. Yeah, I mean, like all YouTube clips or like Facebook, whatever. You always have people commenting on the material, and I guess especially with material from that time. I mean, there's a lot of heated kind of. There's people who just think, who are very. It's kind of very. It's either applause or a complete negation of what is happening in the video. So, yeah.
So you're saying that comment sections are really contentious with people?
Yeah.
Finished?
I got one more. For Bloody Beans, you said you made the film for adults. Like you didn't really have any intention of kids watching this or just being a kid thing anyway. But the kids in it, have they seen it, and what did they think, or have they seen it?
Well, I said before, only 5 of them see it. Not at all. I go now in Algiers, the 3 May, they all see it. And like I tell you before, the long one say to me, Yassine, his name is Yassine, tell me it's a boring movie, I don't understand. And the other one, I'm really proud of them, I think. So it's a great moment for them. You know, it's a very poor area, and I'm not sure that. I try also to take them with me in another adventure, but I know also that it can be perhaps the own adventure that they can have, and they really feel. Some of them go out from the school at 13. And it's crazy because they say that it's a stupid guy, and he's not so stupid at all. Then this is the part I think I just recognize what they are. I never stop what they are. And this is, I think that they are really proud to show. I think that if they can imagine that the movie, they know that the movie travel a lot, they make 30 countries now. And in Algeria, nobody can go out. And it's the way I say, when I make the movie, I say, perhaps it's the change for them to go out, not really, but to show how they are. It's enough, they are too much. Then I think that they're going to be proud.
And so when you say the few kids saw it, you're talking about the final finished work. Did you show the kids footage as it was going along, so they had an idea of what the camera was picking up and so forth?
No, because it's exactly like if you give them to read a script. If they saw them, they want to be more and more, and they forgot that they have to be only. And if they say themselves, I show them some things that, like this, they can know that it's okay. They are peaceful with them, their images and their energy. But if you show them, it was bad things, because they want to see more. They want to. And I want that they forgot the camera, that they forgot that they have to give an image. And if you give them an image, they want to be an image, then all is work. So, yeah. It's you don't have to. You show them a little bit, just.
So it's like the Artaud quote at the end, it's better to be than to obey.
Yeah, all the movies.
Yeah.
It's like
yeah. Well, thank you very much for coming and showing your work and sharing your work. You can see Maha's continuing until what date?
May something.
May.
For quite a while.
Yeah.
It's upstairs at VT.
But don't delay, because that time will go quickly. And then you can also catch up with Narimane's Lubia Hamra at the Mediatek here for the next few days. So thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you.